Hi everyone, it's Lucy and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create a healthy plate of food. A surprising amount of people think that they eat healthily when in reality they don't. They give their kids a ham and cheese sandwich on white bread and then give them like 3 grapes and count that as a healthy meal. Or they take a salad that has only greens and veggies and then they have a can of Diet Coke and think that they are really replenishing their bodies. Are you one of these people? The good news is there's actually an easy way to make sure that your meal is healthy and balanced. You just have to follow these guidelines that I'm about to give you to create a healthy plate of food. Before I dive into that, I'm going to go through a few basic misunderstandings that people have when it comes to healthy eating. First of all, I'm going to talk about the difference between healthy and balanced. A lot of people can't really tell the difference between something that is healthy and something that is balanced, and these notions are very close, very similar, and should both be sought after, but there's a little difference that you need to understand. For example, we all know that fruit and vegetables are super healthy, but they do not make a balanced meal if you eat them on their own. A balanced meal provides you with all of the nutrients you need without over-consuming calories and contains a lot of different foods and many different food groups. Say you want to eat a healthy meal and decide to have a salad with spinach leaves, with tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and then you decide to have an apple for dessert. Now, all of these foods are healthy, but the meal isn't balanced because you're actually missing out on all 3 of the macronutrients. This makes you more likely to make poor choices for your next meal because you'll be both calorie and nutrient deprived. Another thing I want to address is that a piece of fruit is not a fix-all. I see a lot of people that have a pretty unhealthy meal and then they just add a piece of fruit and call it healthy. For example, I see a lot of kid lunches that contain super processed crackers and white bread and salami and a juice box, but you know, they also have half an apple, so it's a healthy meal. I'm not judging anyone by any means, I just want to show you the confusion that can happen. What you should be doing is actually the opposite, meaning you should create your entire meal around a bunch of healthy foods and throw in a little treat if you want. It isn't a good strategy to have a pizza and then to just have a little clementine for dessert and think that it's going to be balanced out. You should instead incorporate healthful foods throughout your whole meal. And of course, you can have exceptions and days where you don't eat fruit and vegetables. That happens to everyone. So now that that is out of the way, I'm going to talk about how to create a healthy plate of food. So the first thing you should do is to fill up half of your plate with veggies. So to start off right, fill up half of your plate with non-starchy vegetables, preferably. Starchy vegetables are super healthy as well, but we are going to be putting them more in the carb section. Greens, for example, are a great option. I'm going to give you some other options right now. Artichokes, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, celery, eggplants, leeks, mushrooms, peppers, zucchini. Of course, there are others. These are just the main ones that come to mind. What I also love doing is getting in some raw veggies like cucumbers, carrots, tomatoes, beets, radishes, and try to get in a variety of different colors so you get a variety of different nutrients. Veggies will give you lots of great nutrients, fiber, minerals, vitamins, polyphenols. The second thing you should do is to protein pack 1/4 of your plate. Protein should be a very important element of your diet. It's used to help build and repair muscle and is very necessary to help you feel full after a meal. So 1/4 of your plate should be dedicated to healthy proteins. I personally believe that plant proteins are better for your health, so I would suggest using beans and legumes such as black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans, lentils, or pinto beans, nuts such as peanuts, almonds, or cashews, and you can also have soy on occasion, soy-based mock meats. And if you prefer animal protein, at least opt for some chicken or turkey or fish. And then the third thing you should do is to carb up the rest of your plate. Now, contrary to popular beliefs, carbohydrates are actually very important for your meal and your health. If you want to know more about that, you can check out the video I made about that I will put right here about the importance and benefits of good carbohydrates for your body. Carbs provide fuel for your entire body, and your brain specifically thrives on carbohydrates. They also contain healthy fiber and should really be included in every meal. So I'm going to give you some examples of carbs, healthy carbs that you can add to your meals. Starchy vegetables such as potatoes, sweet potatoes, butternut, peas. You can also have grains, whole grains are best, like barley, brown rice, bulgur, quinoa, whole wheat pasta, and of course there are many other great carbs that you can consume. Again, you can check out my video for some more ideas. And finally, you shouldn't forget the fats. Fats are extremely important to our diet as well. They play a role in brain health, vitamin absorption, hormone creation, and they make our foods more palatable, more satisfying. You're very likely to be getting a nice chunk of fat from the foods that you are already eating, but nonetheless, here are some good healthy fats that you can have. Avocado, nuts, olives, seeds, healthy plant oils. You should aim for around 80 grams of fat per day. This is for around 2,000 calorie diet. If you feel like you're not getting enough fat, you can put some avocado on your toast. You can add some olive oil and chia seeds in your salad, and you can snack on some nuts and some olives, for example. I also want to touch on some other things to consider for a healthy meal. First of all, you should drink water throughout your whole day without moderation. You hear it all the time, but it's very important to have water as your sole beverage during your meals. Drink water throughout the whole day whenever you're thirsty. This can really help prevent overeating and is excellent for your health. Another thing to consider is that it's important to get enough calcium in your diet. I personally don't think that dairy is the best way to get some calcium, but make sure you do get enough. Fortified plant-based milks, for instance, are a great way to top off the calcium that you are going to be getting from greens and soy. Also, regarding fruit, I'm part of the people who think that you should not limit your fruit intake. Studies have shown time and time again that fruit has many health benefits and is linked generally to a lower BMI and better health. Again, if you want the sources for everything that I'm saying, don't forget to check out my blog post that I will put in the description. I like to eat a piece of fruit for each meal and more if I'm not having as many vegetables during that meal. I also want to point out that you can adjust your plate the way you want it. You can use the plate technique to divide your food and really see the quantities that you are getting, but you don't have to actually eat it that way. If you always eat your meals with like half the greens and 1/4 of both carbs and proteins, it's going to get pretty boring. For instance, you can eat a burrito and still make it a balanced meal as long as you respect the proportions, and there are way more vegetables than burrito and cheese, for instance. You can also eat a full dish that regroups all of the different food groups and nutrients that you need, and that is perfectly fine as well. Also, I want to say that it's very, very hard to make every one of your meals balanced. I certainly don't do that. It's okay to balance out your meals during a whole day or even during 2 days if you have a day where you just can't eat balanced meals. That's perfectly fine. Balancing out each meal is just easier to get all of the proportions right. So if you're learning about healthy eating and balanced eating, I suggest you stick to the proportions for each meal at first. Also, like I mentioned before, eating half a plate of vegetables can be hard for some people, for people who have kids that are picky eaters, or people who are themselves picky eaters. So what you can do is swap some of those veggies for fruit. Still continue to eat veggies, but if you can't have enough for one meal or don't feel like eating them, then replace them with fruit. So eating healthy, balanced meals is very important for your health, but can be a little bit difficult if you don't know how. If you use the plate technique, it will help you know exactly which portions of your meal should be dedicated to carbs, proteins, fats, veggies, etc. once you master the basics, don't hesitate to switch things up a bit, of course, just as long as you get healthy, balanced meals throughout your day. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, don't forget to like it and don't hesitate to subscribe, and see you on my next video. Bye!